One of our VIPs sent us some more Meadowfoam honey, and we decided we're gonna make a s'mores braggot. That's right, it's a mead, it's a beer, it's both, and it's gonna taste like s'mores.
So to start off, we're gonna be boiling water.
With hops in it.
Pretty exciting, huh?
So we're gonna be using a no-boil method to make this beer, braggot, whatever you wanna call it. And for that, we're gonna use Tetnang hops. I have here 1/2 ounce, and I'm gonna put them into a pot. This is the country ale style method, and it's really, really simple. I just need some water. Just pour a little in there. A little more. A little more. It's gonna boil for like 1/2 hour, so.
When you want to stop?
Right there. Perfect. So the gist is this goes onto the stove. We boil this for about 1/2 hour. So while our hops is hopping, let's start on the rest of our braggot. And for that, we're going to need 1 pound of Meadowfoam honey. Now, Ron sent us this, one of our VIPs. Oop, there's a seal. It's sealed for your protection. And this is just a 1 pound container. I'm just gonna put this right in and assume that this is a full pound. You know what? I'm not even gonna use the scale. That's right, I'm trusting the container. Now, do I trust myself to pour it in there? Oh yeah, there we go. And if you're wondering why I'm not weighing it, it's because I know when I get to the end and there's just a little bit left, I'm just gonna put some water in this and get it all out. So it's gonna be close enough to a pound that I'm not gonna worry about it. We're gonna have an original gravity reading before we start and it's all good. Sometimes you just gotta let things go and not worry about it too much. But it does pour really slow, so I am going to stop it. Stop. There we go. Add a little water. Maybe a little too much water. Give it a little mixy mix. I did heat our water a little bit. It's like blood temperature. I say blood temperature because room temperature can vary. Like, you know, Adam, one of our admins, I think he keeps his house at like 40 degrees or something. Seriously. He complains anything over 55. Nope. We keep, what?
Just be careful because that's a pop lid. If you squeeze it, I know it's sticky, but if you...
Okay. We keep our house around 75 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. So room temperature doesn't mean a thing. But if your blood temperature varies by more than a degree or two, go see a doctor. All right, I think I got enough of it to not have to worry so much. But this is not inexpensive honey, so I don't want to waste even a drop of it. So get it all in there. And oxygenating in the beginning is totally fine. By the way, all the gear that we're using, all the utensils and everything, they've all been sanitized in
the red bucket of sanitization,
which is literally just a bucket off screen that has sanitizer fluid in it to the manufacturer's directions. And there's some foam in here. Got to get the foam. Don't fear the foam. It's a different use of that term, but you know what I mean. Okay. Oh, shh. Nobody noticed.
You're not going to throw it?
Okay. So now I want to put more water in here so I can mix it up. The hops is boiling. I can smell it already.
So, the DME, how are you adding that?
Very carefully. Get to that in just a second.
Okay.
The hops will boil over if you're not careful. So that's why I wanted to check on that. So for the DME, what I want to do is dry out our funnel really, really good. Because with a wet funnel, it's just going to cake in there. It's going to get nasty. And it's going to irritate me.
It's going to do it anyway because you can't get to the narrow part.
Oh, yeah, I can. You would think by now you would know. Don't tell me I can't do something.
I did that on purpose to point out a problem.
I knew I was going to do it. I was working on it. By the way, before anybody freaks out that my hands are touching the funnel, yeah, my hands were sanitized too. The paper towel was not. I'm sorry. Look at that. Pull it right through. See? Now it's nice and dry.
Bellissimo.
You like saying that today. That's her word of the day.
My word of the day.
By the way, speaking of word of the day, this has nothing to do with word of the day, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't know if anybody's noticed, we have a whole new merch store now. We have a couple of new designs in there, and we're even got the shelf. If you look underneath our videos, you'll see t-shirts and stuff. Yeah. And, you know, it all helps the channel. It's all good. You know, you want us to keep making recipes, some of this stuff, just, you know, buy a t-shirt, buy a hat.
I'm pretty excited about the new designs. I think they came out nice. So.
Yes. I really like what she did.
Hopefully you enjoy them as well.
By the way, all of our designs are original. We don't copy them from anybody. They are ours. Derica makes them. I sometimes help a tiny bit. She usually makes them. And that way it's all our stuff, and you get to show your steadhead pride, as it were. All right, so for the DME, which is just dry malt extract, we're using Bryce, I don't know how you say that. And today we're using the dry malt extract dark, the traditional dark DME. The reason we're using dark is because I want this to be a dark braggot. By the way, if you don't know what a braggot is, it's part mead, part beer. It's basically a beer with fermented honey in it as well. And let's see how this works.
It's going to be really dusty, so just be gentle in your pour. If you're aggressive in your pour, you're going to aerate. I've inhaled this before.
Okay, so I'm just going to pour careful. Oh,
See?
you ain't kidding.
But
I think I got the funnel dry enough. Maybe.
Mostly?
Mostly. Now, traditionally, or a lot of people do, actually boil this. You can. It's not needed. Basically, it's just the sugars from malt, you know, for making a wort, like you would if you were making a beer. Just dried. Did some weird stuff in the home. That actually wasn't so bad.
Did you thwack your packet?
No, because that'll aerate everything. I don't want to asphyxiate us. All right, I am going to add a little bit more water in there to mix that around. And probably spill it everywhere. Yeah, that'll actually work. You know what? I can add more water. If you break the seal, it lets it flow easier. All right, now I need to mix this up. For that, I need
the thumb saver bung.
That's right. I think before we do that, though, I am going to add some yeast nutrient. Honey's not known for having a lot of nutrients in it. Malt is, though, so we probably don't need this, but you know what? A little extra insurance, no big deal. I'm just going to use just a slightly below a half teaspoon. This is Fermentation. It's organic. It's hard to use too much. We've used tons of it in the past, like 10 grams in a gallon, and we never noticed a problem. I'm using just a little bit, though. Just under a half teaspoon. All right. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. Like I say, I don't think it's necessary for this one, but yeah, you know.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah. And now I just want to mix this up and aerate it. Because there's honey in there, there's malt in there. Notice that color change. And be careful when you take the lid off because of that. It spits at you. Builds up pressure. So, why is it a good thing to shake it up like this?
It's a good thing to shake up. How could I not say that right? It's a good thing to shake it up at this point because, one, you saw the honey that was gooped on the bottom. That hasn't been mixed into the solution. So when we take our gravity reading, it's not going to be correct. And number two, yeast require oxygen at the beginning of fermentation so that way they can be fruitful and multiply. They bud. They develop new little yeasty friends. And they need oxygen to do that. After they've gotten busy and created alcohol, you don't want to add more oxygen because alcohol plus oxygen plus acetobacters, which are omnipresent, could create vinegar. And that's not our goal here. Our goal is a braggot.
I don't feel like I mixed that great.
I don't know how well this is going to mix. It will probably do better once we add the hot liquid from our...
Oh, no, it's mixing together. But I had
There's
what looked like honey stuck to the side.
There's little clumpies.
Oh, the clumps I'm not worried about. They'll get to it. Now, in case anyone was wondering why I only used a pound of honey and a pound of the malt, it's because the malt is going to act like a sugar. So it's about 46 points or 1.046 gravity in a gallon like this. And the honey adds 35 points or 0.035. So when you add those together, you get like 1.080. Yeah, 1.081-ish. So somewhere around that is our starting gravity. That puts this somewhere in the like 11% range. So this is not a wimpy braggot. This is a pretty hefty braggot. It's a stout braggot, if you will.
Now, once our hops addition is done, we need to cool it a little bit or let it cool a little bit before adding to this, right?
We don't really have that much in there, so no, we don't really even need to. We could just add it right in.
It's the heat's not going to cause an issue for the vessel?
I don't think so. I'm going to use a funnel. Okay. So it'll just dump right into the liquid. Okay. There's not a lot of volume there, so it's not a big deal. But that's about it until our hops is done. Okay, hops, bittered for 30 minutes, just boiled on the stove. The trick is going to be dumping this into here.
So we have a strainer. It's a pretty thin mesh nylon in our funnel to try to keep some of that hoppy goop out. It's not going to get all of it, but it should get enough of it, hopefully, to not make this too annoying.
Okay, I need you to cover yourself just in case.
I'm in the splash zone.
Here we go. Sometimes I even impress myself. I really thought more of that was going to end up everywhere but in the fermenter.
You done good.
But look at that. We got all the goop. Get all that hoppy goodness. We're not really big hop heads. Not huge fans.
Not a thing.
We do enough that it bitters the beer, but beyond that, I'm not overly concerned with hops.
And because our goal for this is to be a s'mores profile, bitter really isn't working for me. We're going to get some bittering with the chocolate edition that comes much later.
But if you don't add hops to beer, it just comes out kind of weird, sickly sweet. It's not really a good thing.
Yep.
There's a lot of foam in here, so I'm going to be really careful, but hopefully pouring some of the water in will actually break up the foam. By the way, before I get too much further, I'd like to talk about the pitcher that I'm using for just a minute. This is going to sound like an ad, because it is. This pitcher is called the AccuPour. It's got 128 ounces. It has, hear this? Raised letters on the side in both metric and imperial. It is wonderful. It has a super sharp spout, so you can actually do this. Notice I can pour it easily. The handle is really solid. It doesn't flex as it's full. Sounds like a sales ad, but you know what? Every time I tell people to get one, somebody's like, I got one, and oh my God, it's the most amazing thing. It's a pitcher, but it's awesome.
It's the best pitcher.
So, get yourself one of these. It also helps support the channel.
Yep.
Thanks. I don't think I'm breaking up much of the foam.
No, we've had this before where you're like, oh, it's going to break up the foam. No, it doesn't.
The foam breaks up eventually, but there's a lot of stuff going on here that's going to prevent it from breaking up. I'm just going to,
Breaking up is hard to do.
Yeah. We're just going to have to go with it. Because I don't want to lose, look at, that's all the way down here. That's a lot of product we won't be making. And it'll also raise our gravity because there won't be enough water in here to make up all the stuff. So I might just have to get a little greedy and let it go higher. But that foam is starting to break up.
It's starting to break up. Come on.
How long do we want to sit here and watch the foam break up? And I'm going to go a little higher. I think as it touches the glass, it starts to break up more too. Like as it gets more contact with the glass as it goes up. That seems to be what was the catalyst for it breaking up. Or prove me wrong. Either way. Okay. Next, though, I do want to add our yeast. We started with 100 and...
Right, it's cool enough.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, there's no way that's... Well, you know what? Let's find out. I have a probe thermometer, but you know what? It hasn't been sanitized yet. Ideally, you do not want to add yeast if it's over, say, like 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think we're anywhere near that. 102, we're fine. Can you just rinse that off real quick?
Yes.
All right, so we can add our yeast. And the foam is breaking up a little bit more. I have here a partial packet of Safefail SO4. It feels like more than half. I know a full packet can do 5 to 6 gallons. I'm just going to eyeball a teaspoon or so, and we're going to add it right to the foam. Could you hydrate your yeast first if you want to? Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. Could you use a whole packet if you really want to? Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. Could you use less than what I'm going to use? Not recommended, because the less you use, the less likely you are to have a viable colony intact in what you put in.
And what he means by that is the entirety of the packet isn't necessarily alive. There's dead yeasties in there too, which are okay because the live yeast will munch away on those dead yeast.
Yeah, they're cannibals. So, you know what? I'm just going to use this. I can't tell if this was a half packet or a full packet. Oh, I got some on the sides.
Oh.
But it's okay. I just used it. My rule of thumb is this. Up to about 3 gallons, use a half packet. 3 gallons or more, use a whole packet. At 3 gallons, do whatever you want. You know, half packet, full packet, doesn't matter. But now I want to swirl this around a little bit, get those yeasty beasties into the liquid. They're just sitting on top of the foam. That actually broke up the foam better than anything else. It looks like there's a lot of foam, but really it's much lower.
So how well is our solution mixed with the addition of the water and the hops and everything?
I don't know. See? And then you got to make more foam. All right.
The reason being that I wanted him to mix that is because we need to take a gravity reading.
Yes,
If we
we
don't
do.
have our solution well mixed, then it's not going to be accurate.
Okay. So for our initial gravity reading, we're looking at somewhere around like a 1.080-ish. Should be, hopefully, if I got enough water in there. It might be a little higher because I don't think there's as much water as a full gallon. And we can, you know what? We could have added more water now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just going to add a touch more water. Right there. Perfect. Just mixing that through so that everything is well mixed. So it's at 1.00. Exactly where I want it to be. If you did not sanitize your hydrometer and your cylinder, don't do this. Some people don't sanitize those.
We're not those some people.
Exactly. So let me take a note on that.
Do you want to take a pH reading or do we...
We can take a pH reading just because it's a good idea to have an idea of where you're at. I don't think it's going to be much of a problem, but you know, I've said that before. Let's find out. pH is the acidity level, and we just use a little eyedropper and these strips, and you just need like a drop. But you don't want to do it over the, wow. Super green. Okay. It's too base. We're starting to see this more and more, that things are a little bit too high in the pH range. And if you go past, you know, say 4.6 or so, now don't get scared. If there were botulism spores in the honey, there is a small possibility that they could grow. Okay, being that this is a lower, well, relatively lower ABV than some of the things that we've made, we are going to add just a little bit of acid blend to bring that down closer to the 4 to 4.5 range, just to put it in a more safe zone. Not a huge deal, but it is something to be aware of. Now, the thing to understand about pH is it's a logarithmic scale. It's not exactly the way you think. So at this pH, in the past, when I've added a 1/4 teaspoon of the acid blend, I've gotten it down to about the right range. So I'm going with just a slight bit below a 1/4 teaspoon of acid blend. Was that necessary to do? Maybe not, but better safe than sorry. I would much rather know for a fact that nothing I don't want can grow in my stuff than have something potentially, maybe, possibly grow in my stuff. But don't get scared. If you don't have access to these things, you can use a little bit of lemon juice and it would do the same thing, okay? Acid is acid. Now I want to take another pH reading. I also really like taking readings on things. I like knowing what it's doing. To me, that makes this kind of sciencey, but at the same time, there's a lot of art involved in what we're doing. You're playing off flavors and balancing different things. There's so much more to it than just the readings, but the readings help guide you. And it's still pretty green, but I'm going to say that's closer to the 4.5 than it is to the 5, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like dead on 4.5, I would say.
Also, we know the fermentation process itself is an acidifying process, so the pH will go
It'll
down.
drop a little bit as it goes, and that's fine. We just wanted to make sure we were safe, okay? So as long as you're safe, you're doing it right. So that's it. All we need is the airlock and boom.
That's right.
Okay, and we just use, it's a piece of rubber stopper with a hole in it, and an airlock goes into that. And here's the way the airlock works. Yes, it's important. Please don't just put a cap on this. If you do and it is blocked up and gases cannot escape, it will explode. That's not a maybe. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to terrify you. Seriously, if you cap this off, it's gonna blow up. It's dangerous. Flying glass everywhere. I'm not even joking. That's not hyperbole. That is not exaggeration. Don't do it. If you cannot get an airlock, use what's called a blow-off tube. It's just this stopper with some silicone tubing going into a mason jar filled with water even, but sanitizer fluid is probably better. But the airlock does the same thing. The gases are going to come out, they're going to go up here, they're going to push this side down, they're going to push that side up, and the gases are going to escape. It's going to go bloop, 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 right? That's normal. What it also does is it keeps actual bugs, fruit flies, and things like that from getting back in. They die in that sanitizer fluid. We put sanitizer fluid in our airlocks. You can also use cheap whiskey like Scoresby or cheap vodka, you know, stuff like that, because they will die in there. Water, you'd be surprised. Bugs can actually live quite a while in water, and they can swim right through it too. So water is last resort if you can't put anything else in there, but you know, just...
Please do not put a substance in there that's toxic for human consumption.
Yeah, don't put like rubbing alcohol and things like that. Don't do that.
Just in
that's
the off
bad.
just in the off chance that some of that ends up in here.
Yeah, because it can actually suck back sometimes. Like if it gets really cold in here and it's warmer outside, it can actually suck back in. Note, the sanitizer fluid is actually not unsafe. It's not going to hurt you, especially the teeny tiny amount. Don't worry about that. So, what are we going to do with this now?
What's it?
This is going to go into fermentation. Well, maybe not right away. We're going to put this on like a lipped tray so that if it does overdo it, it won't get everywhere. And then it'll go in the fermentation. Once that airlock activity stops, we'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, so it's been 1 week and it looks like it's slowing down a lot, but there's only one way to find out if it's actually done.
In our experience, beers in general, at least for us, tend to start up pretty quickly because they're normally warm when we're pitching the yeast, which helps activate the yeast. And then they just do their thing and then they're done.
Yep. Now, this is a Braggot, so this is a little bit stronger than a standard beer. I mean, it was a 1.080 starting gravity, so it's a little, you know, more than a beer.
It's beer plus.
Yeah. It's not actually clearing a lot yet, so it may not be quite done. Braggots don't always go totally clear, though. It's in at 1.012. Now, I know those of you that make beer know that there is non-fermentable sugars in the malt that will prevent it from going fully dry. But at this point, I'd rather, because it's only been a week and it's not clearing, let's use that as our initial reading, see in another week to take another reading. But since everything was cleaned in turbos, sanitized, I should say, as Derek was just about to say, I'm going to dump this back in. Some people don't do this, but we're not some people. And put the airlock back on. Stick my note back on. In the fermentation it goes. See you in a week. So it's been 1 more week and, well, some more sediment fell out. And it's time to take our second reading and move forward. Last time it was 1.012. Now this being a Braggot means it does have malt in it. Malts tend to have non-fermentable sugars in them, which make them not go dry, or what we would perceive as dry. It is as dry as it's going to be because there's non-fermentable sugars that are just never going to ferment out. So it's not uncommon for them, for beers and whatnot, to finish above 1.000. It might have gone down a few points, though. You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But nope, 1.012.
All right.
We're going to begin the racking process by pouring most of this into this fermenter.
Most, I see.
Mostly. Well, right now, it's a Meadowfoam Braggot, which is probably pretty tasty, so I want to sample. You know?
Sure.
I'm going to leave some for you, too.
Brewer's prerogative.
It's pretty nice. It's got nice roasty notes to it. The honey, just perceptible, but not overpowering. Mm-hmm. So far, so good. I think this is on track for what we want. Those dark roasty notes, man, that's awesome. I love a dark beer, and this is going to be like a dark Braggot. Oh, this is going to be so good.
All right, so now we're going to rack.
Yes. Okay. I'm leaving the cap on because there's a lot of stuff in the bottom of this fermenter that I don't want in our brew. I'm just going to go part way in, get it started.
Nope. Okay.
And we have videos on racking. You've seen us do this before, so we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we racked it. We have a mostly full wide mouth fermenter. Now there's going to be some more stuff going in here in just a second, but before I get to that, let's use the calculator teacher said I would never have handy and figure out how much ABV of alcohol we made. So for that, we have 1.080
as our starting gravity
minus 1.012 as our
final gravity.
That means we burned up 0.068 gravity, or 68 points, however you like to say it. And I'm going to use my 135 on this because I believe it is more than 7%. So times 135 gives me 9.18% ABV.
Not too shabby.
So I'm going to round. I'm going to actually write that as 9.18 because we're not sure if we're going to natural carb or pressure carb this yet. That does actually change your final alcohol because if you natural carb, it's a tiny fermentation. So it does add a little bit more alcohol. Not sure I want more alcohol in this.
But there's something we know we want in that, and that's a chocolate flavor.
Right. And for that, you can use cacao nibs. I've never had great luck with cacao nibs. Just never had good luck. I know some people like to steep them in vodka or something before they add it, but then you're adding more alcohol or changing the variables a little bit. So instead, we're using what's called Creo brew. It's actually dark chocolate nibs broken up, ground up, and you drink it like a coffee. Like you just steep this for like 10 minutes in hot water, and it makes like a hot chocolate, sort of. It's not really like hot chocolate.
But we're going to dry hop it today.
Yeah, it's a beverage, but we're going to add it in here. I got 3/4 of a cup of it. We're going to have links to it. It's actually a great way to add chocolate flavor to a brew. We used it in our cherry chocolate, or chocolate-covered cherry. I'm just getting my mix all talked up today. We used it in our chocolate-covered cherry wine.
I believe we also used it in our chocolate pomegranate.
Yes, we did. You know what I need now, though?
You need the spattle.
I do. It's the spattle. It's a paddle. It's a spoon. It's both. I think I did that joke already this video. So if I did, I'm probably going to cut that out, or maybe I'll leave it just for comedic effect. I just want to mix these in so they're wet. So they're not just sitting on top.
They don't like
It's nasty. It's just... Okay, let me just show you what this looks like inside. It looks like dirt sitting on top of the braggot.
I like to think of it as like a cookie crumble.
Oh, okay, that's a nice way to think of it. It does eventually get in there. It just takes a little while. I probably should have put it into the jar first and racked onto it. That would have been the smart thing to do. I never do that. I don't know why. Habit, just the way we do things. Yeah, a lot of people like to rack onto such things. I don't know why we just never do it that way. This is not even getting wet. It'll soak in eventually.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm just going to keep mixing this up, but we are eventually just going to put the lid on it, put it back in the ferment station, let this sit for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and we'll be back to do final adjustments and then carbonate. So it's been 2 weeks since we looked at this. Let me take the lid off so you can see what it looks like inside. And what we're looking for is things moving and growing.
Reaching out, trying to grab us,
suck
us into the void.
If you see an eyeball or teeth, dump it out. Just don't even... I'm joking, but I'm not.
We're being silly. We're looking for mold. We don't see any mold. We just see Creo brew floating on the top.
That is just Creo brew. So today what we want to do is rack it off of all that Creo brew, and then we're going to see what to do next. So racking, very simple, just like we always do. We're going to use an auto siphon. If you don't want to use an auto siphon, there's a few ways. I'm not good at them, so I'm not going to recommend them, but there are a few ways. I am going to leave the cap on.
Because there's a significant amount of Creo brew that fell to the bottom.
And I want to go about halfway because there's a significant amount at the top too. So just plunge it in like that and then try to give it longer strokes because I'm really bad at that. I always do the short stroke. And then once it's going, I'm moving the auto siphon down a little bit. I mean, you've seen us rack before. We have a video on how to rack, so I don't even need to do this right now.
This stuff is a mess. It is a fantastic flavorant, but it's kind of messy.
Yeah, what we could have done is put cheesecloth over the intake or the outtake of our auto siphon and it would have taken care of that.
But we didn't.
And, we show our mistakes. It's just that simple. So what we're going to do today now, though, is we're going to try to flavor this and see if we can bottle it today or see what we need to do moving forward.
So I have this little tiny, I believe it's a tea caddy to drip your tea bags.
Because I have a really bad thing about stuff.
So I sanitized it.
And we're just going to put it over the top of the cup. That way I can pour in and we don't get as much goobers.
Goobers is a technical term.
Yeah. Now, when we were racking this, Derica said it smells like coffee. And at first I was like, it doesn't smell like coffee, it smells like chocolate. But now, I have to say, it does kind of smell like...
It's like a mocha. It's like a...
coffee and chocolate mixed together. Well, it has the mead going for it, too.
Yeah.
It smells amazing. Don't get me wrong. It smells amazing. And chocolate.
Man, I hope it tastes as good as it smells.
Well, what I think is we might have too much chocolate and not enough of the other things. But we have ways to fix that. And that's part of the fun of this. And this is, to me, this is the fun part of creation, is we get to refine it, fine-tune it. Holy crap. That is a really good chocolate beer right now.
Yeah. And it's not, well, it is, but it isn't.
It's not been adjusted yet. We have some adjustments to make, though. Mm-hmm. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is we have the kind of marshmallowy flavor, okay? We have the chocolatey flavor. What we don't have is the graham cracker flavor of a s'mores. So we happen to have graham cracker extract here. Now, a few people have suggested just putting actual graham crackers in. And I've seen that done before. It's not... Yeah, I know, wrong thing. It's not something... Oh, man. That just smells incredible. Okay.
I just want to eat that. But
you can put actual graham crackers in here, and it will impart some of the flavors. You do risk a little bit of potential infection and mold growth because of the way they work. It's been done, and since there's alcohol here, it's probably not going to be as huge of a problem. It's 9% alcohol. So
I think if you blitz the graham crackers into oblivion and then added them...
Usually they just break them up. They don't actually blitz them, because if you blitz them, you're actually creating more surface area, which could create more problem. And it could also stay in stasis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what you want to do at first, but usually they just broke them up a little. But anyway, I'm going to add a teaspoon of this graham cracker extract. We'll have links to the extracts below. We do have just about 3 liters here, which is like 100 ounces. So we're a little lower than a gallon. Just keep that in mind when you're making your adjustments for flavors.
Now this extract is made by Brewer's Best, so it is intended for brewing.
It's made for this purpose. When you get an extract, make sure it doesn't have anything in it that you don't want, like no fats, things like that. This is literally like polypropylene glycol, ethyl alcohol, which is perfectly fine, and water, high fructose corn syrup, and natural and artificial flavors. I used to make the joke about that being beaver butts, but it's probably not, because that's too expensive. They use that in perfumes and stuff like that. But it's just funnier to say, you know, you're got beaver butts in there, but it's not really. Okay, so that's just with 1 teaspoon of that. Usually about an ounce per...
Do you want your thingy? You're going to get some leave-ins.
It's fine. I didn't.
All right. Okay.
Usually they call for about an ounce per gallon. I don't even taste that.
No, I don't smell
It's not there at all. But there's a couple things that we need to do. First, I personally feel if this is going to be a s'mores braggot, it needs to be sweeter. Mm-hmm. And there's no marshmallow coming through at all. Mm-hmm. I'm getting coffee and malt. That's it. So we just happen to have some more Meadowfoam honey because Ron sent us plenty to be able to do this.
All right. So I have a question, and I don't know if it's applicable or not. Because you just read the ingredients on the gram, and it said that it had corn syrup. Corn syrup is a fermentable sugar, so it would affect gravity reading. So as long as we do the same...
It doesn't have much, though.
...percentage of gram additions with the honey, then you should be able to get pretty close to our gravity reading because we don't measure the honey.
I'm going to say the amount of corn syrup that's in this versus what this is going to do to gravity, 1 teaspoon of this is going to change it.
You understand what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah, but I don't think 1 teaspoon is going to change it yet. So we'll put in honey first, and then we can take a reading, and then we can
Do we need to mark that we put down 1?
I should probably start taking notes on what I added.
So we won't forget, because sometimes we forget.
I'm going to just do hash marks
Yeah,
for how many teaspoons.
teaspoon gram. There you go.
Honey. I'm not going to weigh it. We're going to measure it afterwards. We're going to do this to taste.
I think it needs a significant.
Oh my God. The smell on this stuff is incredible.
That honey is nuts.
And I really think it's probably better to use it as a sweetener at the end than it is to ferment it because it doesn't quite have the same flavor when you ferment it.
And this is a good note and something we intend on experimenting with in the near future because we have been gifted some crazy expensive honeys, this one included, but the ones from Hawaii, oh my gosh, thank you, those who sent those.
We've been reluctant to use them.
Right. But we had the idea that Brian just touched on there, okay? And so that's going to be coming up sometime in the winter, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's August now.
Yeah.
It's the end of August already?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in hurricane season right now.
It rained like I don't know what this morning.
Which is unusual.
We had flooding already. It's like, don't do that to us now.
We had flooding from the last storm that came through that didn't even hit anywhere close to us. Anyway. Before anybody says, why do you still live in Florida? I don't know.
Actually, we do know. We know exactly why we still live in Florida.
Family
we have family here. If it weren't for that horse, we wouldn't have spent that year in college.
What?
You know? Tell me in the comments if you know what I was referencing there.
I have no idea what that's
I lost Brian.
Wow.
I didn't do the hand gestures correctly.
Oh. It needs more, but it's...
I'm smelling it.
Needs more.
Oh, somehow that brought out the graham cracker. We didn't add more graham cracker.
Nope.
That's nuts.
Nope, that's honey. But I'm thinking sweet on this is probably the way to go. It just... Okay, and the way we sweeten things is we will sweeten to taste, and then we will take readings so you can replicate as needed. This is starting to get really good.
Getting there. Now, this was a community effort. This was a brainstorm scenario. We put it out there.
Yeah, I was just going to make a mead.
And then you guys came in with the comments saying, yeah, do that thing. And so now here we are, and seeing it coming to fruition is...
Fruition. It's a good word.
It's really exciting. I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm glad you're excited. It's much better than the alternative.
I just wish that stupid Creo brew would have filtered out better.
We can work with that.
I know.
Ooh. Yep. Oh, that is nice. Wow.
Oh, it smells so good.
Okay. I want to add more graham, and I want to add some vanilla. I can already tell right away. Needs more graham.
Definitely a full teaspoon of graham. But I'm wondering...
a tablespoon is an ounce, so we're at a little over 2/3 of a gallon, so this is the recommended amount right now.
Right, but I'm wondering if we might want a half teaspoon of vanilla.
Oh. Sure. Yeah, vanilla can get overpowering really quick.
Vanilla can be bossy.
The vanilla is really just to bring out the marshmallow flavor, because marshmallows kind of have a vanilla-y... Did I splash you?
Yeah.
Marshmallows kind of have a vanilla-y flavor to them. Oops, sorry. You're more than welcome to touch that and mix it if you want to. I just usually do, so I didn't mean to take it from you.
I was trying to help.
All right. And they mix in pretty easily. And I know this seems laborious, and it is, but think of it this way. This is going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
This brew.
Imagine what the master tasters, the master distillers, the master blenders in distilleries do. They do this for a living. It's like, oh, you need this percentage of that 12-year and this percentage of the 25-year.
Do the thing.
I'm doing the thing.
Do the roar.
See, I knew it was coming.
Needs sweetness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, honey.
Yeah. It is really getting there, though. Definitely chocolatey. The graham, I think we could add a little bit more graham, too. But I want to check it with sweetness first. This needs to be sweet.
It needs to be sweet. It's a s'more. It needs to just be...
S'mores are just like
melt
sugar
in your
with,
mouth.
Sugar
gooey.
with more sugar on a cracker that has sugar in it, I'm pretty sure.
It's been so long since I've had a s'more. Can you can do s'mores without the stupid milk chocolate, right? You can do dark chocolate s'mores.
Of course you can. You can do s'mores any way you want to. It just means I want some more. So basically, there's really not a lot of limit. They don't really like call it in the instruction, like in the name, what it really is.
S'more. I never really.
That's what it's.
Never really
Oh my God.
Oh my God! I feel so bad.
So how old were you when you realized that s'mores just meant I want some more?
I'm embarrassed.
Wow. I thought I was the natural blonde. That is funny.
Hey, when we were little tiny people, we were probably equally blonde.
That's true. The funny thing is, words like that, if you don't think about it, you never realize what it means. My grandfather explained it to me when I was very, very young.
It's
That's
like,
why it stuck
duh.
with me. Yeah.
I mean, it's now that it's been put out there, I just feel ridiculous because normally...
I mean, spaghetti and meatballs could be called s'mores in my house.
Sure.
In my mind.
Absolutely. I just see all the people commenting, poor Derica.
I'm not making fun of her. I don't mean to.
No, not on your vantage point, but on my vantage point, because I'm feeling kind of silly now.
I don't think so, because I'm betting you at least a couple of people that would make that comment, they just realized it too, and they just don't want to admit it.
I admit my folly. Good catch.
You don't have a choice. You're on camera. They're not.
We could edit this.
We were talking the whole time. I can't edit that out.
We could edit it.
It smells really good now. I really like the smell.
It's smelling good all along.
I think more graham though. I wanna see what it tastes like right now.
I don't know. I'm getting some of the graham in.
Okay. I got a little bit of graham, but not. I need more graham. Need more cowbell.
Sorry.
Taste it.
If you live with it for a bit, you can piece all the parts together, but it's not like it's not blatant.
Needs a little more sweetness.
Like if you want it to be blatant,
Yep. Needs more sweetness.
then it needs more sweetness and it needs more
It
graham.
needs everything. It needs a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more vanilla, a little bit more graham. You want to do another teaspoon of graham while I'm doing the sweetness?
Sure enough.
And then do another.
Are we marking these?
I will.
Do we know?
This is 2 teaspoons of graham, or this will be 3.
This will be 3. Okay.
Honey, we haven't measured yet because that's
Right. Yeah. No, I meant the.
And we're gonna call it 1 teaspoon.
Am I putting more vanilla in?
Yep.
I'm not doing a half vanilla.
You're doing half of vanilla.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do the half of vanilla.
All right, I'll do half of vanilla. You just fill it halfway.
Just. Now my nose is running. Why is my nose running?
Better catch it before it gets away. Ah! So, as far as the amounts that we're putting in, I probably put in 3/4 of a pound of Meadowfoam honey again. And that's important, the Meadowfoam aspect of it, because regular honey won't have the vanilla marshmallow flavor.
Yeah.
Oops, I don't want a full.
See?
Do that. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Though I probably could have done it full. Would have been fine.
This is dark.
Yeah, this is a really dark braggot. But we wanted it dark. It's made with Bryce Dark DME.
Oh, sure.
All right, that should be mixed. Oh, no, there's honey in there. Whoops.
All right, I'm going to go blow my nose because my nose is driving me crazy.
Okay. Now, I want to stress at this point that because we've added fermentables to this, we're going to have to pasteurize this, which means we're probably going to force carb. We were talking about that off camera. I think we're going to force carbonate. We'll do it in a growler.
It smells fantastic.
This is a dessert beer, is what this is. This is super rich, carbonated, See, here's the thing too. I want this to be a little sweeter because we're going to be adding carbonation to it, which can sometimes make it taste a little bit bitter. I think we hit it. I don't want to add any more sweetness to it. I don't want to add any more other spices or anything. So let's get a reading on this right now.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to take our hydrometer reading so that we kind of give you a target of where to go, because we don't even have a gallon. So for me to say we used exactly this much or that much doesn't really matter. The only thing that really makes a difference is going to be your seasonings, meaning the vanilla and the graham that we added. Those, play that by ear, really, you know.
Right. And we did it the way we did it. We showed you how we did it based on our personal preference. And we really encourage you to do it in a similar fashion based on your personal preference.
Well, we did say this was going to be a sweet braggot, right? 1.038. But you know what I think happened here? And I'm just going to give a little bit of a disclaimer on that sweetness level. The Creo brew can get bitter.
It can. Yep.
So I think between the bittering of the hops and the bittering of the Creo brew, we had to balance that out, or else it just wasn't going to taste right. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. That's just how it is. We did this to our personal taste, which means we're going to like it when it's done. If we didn't sweeten it that much, we might not like it. And I also know that when we carbonate, carbonation can sometimes make a dry thing taste a little sweeter, but it can also make a sweet thing taste a little less sweet because carbonic acid, you know, the carbon dioxide that's going in there creates carbonic acid, which can actually reduce sweetness levels in sweet things. So you have to be careful. If it's dry, it can sometimes simulate a sweetness because all it's doing is thinning it out on your tongue, basically. But when you do it to a sweet thing, it can sometimes make it taste a little bit more bitter. We've had that happen just recently. Even our raspberry beer tasted a little bit more bitter once we carbonated it.
But it's fantastic. Anyway, at this point, we're going to wrap this into a
glass container.
A glass container, and we're going to do our full gallon pasteurization method. This is using a immersion circulator, so that way we can have a consistent temperature. I'm going to link that process in the description below so you can follow around detailed if you are unfamiliar with it.
Something about pasteurization. If we were to put this in bottles right now, it's going to ferment further. It's going to explode. It's dangerous. Please don't do that, okay? I just have to put that safety disclaimer in here. We are pasteurizing this, and then after we pasteurize, it'll sit for a few days. We'll be back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, life gets in the way. It's been 2 more weeks. Why? Well, I was sick. She was sick, then I was sick, then she was sick, then I was sick, really sick. So today what we're going to do, we're going to move it from this fermenter into a growler. Now, we always do this, and it hasn't really been a problem so far, but ideally you want the brew to be ice cold, like put it in the fridge for a while, and you want the growler to be cold when you do this. We didn't do that, but it's okay. It just makes it take a little bit longer to actually carbonate. We are going to force carbonate using CO2 gas in a growler, in case you haven't figured that out yet. You can get this exact growler that we're using in the links below. Just uses some CO2 tanks. Because this was already pasteurized, the yeast is dead, it's inert. It's not going to ferment anymore. And oh my God, that smells good. I forgot how good this one smells. Anyway, so what we are going to do is put the destination of our auto siphon into the growler, and I'm going to put the source up here into the brew. And we're going to rack, just like we always do. I have the cap on because I did notice some fallout at the bottom that I really don't want in our final brew, especially when you do it in a growler, because the first mug that you pull off of this is going to get all that sediment because of the way the weights sit. I know there's floats and things like that that can actually help with that. I don't happen to have any of those handy, so I'm not using one today. All right, now I want to put the assembly in, and all this was sanitized. I do have a CO2 canister. This is actually left over from our raspberry beer. I just turned off the gas, so I don't really know how much is left in there, but we're gonna try it. And I'm just gonna drop the tube in and screw this in. Makes a lot of noise, sorry. Make sure that's tight, and then make sure all the fittings are on there nice and tight. Everything should be snug because you don't want any leaks. Okay, what I want to do now is purge the tank. This is something that I haven't done, and people told me that I was wrong. So I'm going to put some gas in, just turn it on. You should hear it go in. And now I want to just release all the pressure. Okay, what that did...
There is some oxygen in the void of this tank. When we put the gas in there, that is combining with the oxygen, purging it is going to push the oxygen out and keep the good gas in, and then we can refill that void with the appropriate gas.
Exactly. So now I just want to crank the air, and, well, our tank's dead. That's it. So that's all it had in it. That's fine. So I'm going to turn it off and release this guy. Just unscrew it. Yeah, there was nothing left in it. It's okay. It happens. It's been sitting for a couple of weeks.
It worked to purge the tank, so yay.
But we had another one just waiting. And make sure the gas is off. And I just want to get it in there. A little bit escapes when you're cranking it down. Just get it in nice and tight. And then I want to turn this all the way up to about, all the way up. I can fully open it. This is now at about 25 to 27 PSI. What I want to do now is shake it up. That helps get the CO2 into the liquid. We've said this before. The liquid is more permeable to CO2 than it is to oxygen. So getting the oxygen out and only having CO2 in here means we're set. I've also been told that it's quicker when you shake it and slower if you don't, but the real trick is getting it cold. So the next thing we're going to do is put this in our mini fridge and let this get cold, and I'll probably shake it every couple of days. Interesting enough, I don't hear the CO2 go in until I shake it, because what's happening is it shrinks as it goes. So it's kind of going in just nicely. So we're going to put this into the fridge, let it get cold, shake it up, see you in a week. All right, it's been another week. This has been sitting in the fridge, as you can tell by all the condensation. So what I want to do now is turn off the gas, which was up to, quite a bit of pressure here. Turn off the gas, and I want to purge the tank. So you're going to hear some hissing. So I let out all the pressure. Now I turn the gas back up to dispensing pressure, which is like 5 PSI or so. If there's anything left in that tank. There's nothing left in that tank!
I need to go get another canister.
We need a new canister. Be right back. Okay, new canister. I'm going to screw this in. Generally, it takes one to carbonate and one for dispensing. So that's, pretty typical. And like I said, I just want to increase the pressure to about 5 PSI for dispensing. Something like that. But the next question is, why do I have this huge, huge, huge mug in front of me?
Aren't they pretty? So we were gifted these ginormous, thick-walled, heavy-duty glass mugs by
they're Steins.
North Mountain Supply. And I first immediately fell in love with them, and then I'm like, what the heck are we going to use them with? But then we made this. And I picked these because I'm anticipating greatness.
Okay. Here comes the moment of truth. Everybody ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now what they say is, just go for it.
That's beautiful.
And the first pour usually comes out foamy. You might be hearing knocks in the next room.
And they always drip. Everything drips. It's just how
it's drippy. There we go. To catch the drips. That's a hell of a head.
I don't care. It's still beautiful.
Let me make sure I still have Yep, still about 5 PSI. All right, here we go. I'm not very good at pouring beer, but that's better. So somebody said, and a couple of people said it, that the first pour is usually bad. And you know what? I have to agree with them, because there's a significant difference.
We just left the mug in there and catch those precious drips.
Okay, I need to take a picture of one of these right now for a thumbnail. So just give me a second. Pictures are done. Time to get the scorecards ready. And it's funny, I've been taking the pictures of the scorecards, putting mine on the left and Derek is on the right. But when you see that picture, it's backwards from what it should be. So somebody said that to me. So I'm going to do it different now. This looks really nice. I am seeing, you know what? Let me just show you all the bubbles coming up the side to prove this carbonated. Okay, so it definitely carbonated. The pressure carb thing, it's very reliable. It works really, really nice. So the first score that we give when we do these is repeatability. I'm going to have to say this is from a repeatability standpoint. Like, can someone who's never made this recipe before make this the way we did? I don't see why not. There's a few extra additions, so I would say it's probably like a 4 out of 5. It's a little bit more difficult for like a beginner, but I mean, you could put your own score. But repeatability doesn't add into our
recipe. I wasn't looking at your
card. It's not a difficult thing. It just, there's a lot of steps. So skipping any of those steps might not make it work so well. Now, next is appearance. I mean,
that is a thing of beauty.
What more could you ask for?
Now, we are both fans of the super dark beers. So, being that this is like a void of chocolatey goodness.
It's dark.
It's mwah, beautiful. Now, you've probably seen me sticking my whole face in here. It's like,
on the smell, I'm getting chocolate. I get the marshmallow, a little bit of maltiness. Oh, wow, it's a party in my nostrils, okay? This is really amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
all that
wow.
In a bag of chips.
Yeah. Guess what it's time for?
Cheers.
Flavor. Holy crap. This is 9.1-ish% ABV. This will get you crocked, man. Oh my God, because it tastes like candy.
It's so creamy.
Uh-huh.
And
that's
chocolatey.
The vanilla and the chocolate.
And now I know when we buy commercial beers, we tend to buy the chocolate flavored, the peanut butter flavored, the...
Yeah, this is right up our alley. But there's no harshness from the chocolate. Usually, sometimes chocolate can come across a little like harsh and bitter in brews like this. But because we were able to sweeten it that little bit at the end, we brought back the honey and kept the bitterness down. Really, really nice. I will have to say, though, if someone said, describe this, I would say it's a chocolate braggot, more so than I would say it's a s'mores braggot. I do have to be honest that as amazing as this tastes, I think the graham cracker and the marshmallow got a little lost. I mean, it's not bad, don't get me wrong. A little more marshmallow on that taste.
I'm getting more of the graham crackery at the very, 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 very beginning.
Oh. I get it more at the end, like in the afterbreath. I guess I have to take another sip.
I would say that, it's not smacking you in the face that there's graham cracker and marshmallow, but it's definitely chocolate plus. There's something...
this would definitely pass for a s'mores braggot.
Yeah.
I'll have to say that. It wouldn't be like the best example of a s'mores flavor, but if someone handed this to me and says, oh, this is supposed to be like a s'mores. Yeah, okay, I get it. I can totally taste it. The chocolate is a little stronger than the other flavors, which isn't a bad thing.
I'm okay with, and I'm trying to mentally compare it to other commercially made chocolate.
There's nothing
beer
that has this kind of chocolate flavor.
No. This is way better in the chocolate department. And is it because we added the marshmallow and the graham cracker?
It could be. All the flavors
honey
melding together.
It just makes it really full, really... Like, this feels like a breakfast beer kind of scenario.
Really does.
Like, this is a meal.
It totally is, because I'm getting full. Just a little bit that I've had. Yeah. Like, I could feel it. It's like, wow, there's a lot going on here.
But even with that fullness, my brain's like, oh, you got room for more? Keep on going. Because this is really, really good.
Yeah.
So
it just keeps on going, too. The finish on it is kind of long. It keeps going. The chocolate comes back, and I get more of the florals coming back from the honey. It definitely, like, I don't know how much of the Meadowsweet Mead you have had. I have had the Meadowsweet Mead. It doesn't taste exactly like marshmallow when it's fermented. It has a lovely flavor, and that mixed with the chocolate is actually really, really nice.
This is, in the words of Jerica, stupid good.
It really is.
In
the words of David Bowie, this is seriously good.
I want people to come to my house so I can give them this and go, we made this.
I don't want to share it. What are you talking about?
I don't really want people to come to my house because then I have to like clean house and put the cats away.
I don't want anyone else to have this.
But,
I want this.
like, this is something that I want other people to experience, just as long as they're not taking it from mine.
Oh, okay. Well.
But I want them to go, oh, wow, that's really good.
Okay, before I score this on flavor, I think I'd like to talk about intent. We're going to go out of turn here. Intent. The intent was to make a s'mores mead.
And so...
we were inspired by the Meadowfoam honey to make this.
Right.
Based off of the inspiration and the execution, did we make a s'mores braggot? I think we actually already covered this, but it's important to talk about.
I think we missed the boat, but I think part of the reason why we missed the boat is what the experience of a s'more actually is.
Okay. The melty chocolate, the ooey gooey marshmallow, it's missing that. And it could never have that. We knew that already.
You can't, because when you bite into a s'more, you get the different layers.
There's textures.
Because it's a layer thing. There's textures, there's heat, there's other stuff going on. And so that was a lofty goal. But did we actually get all those different notes? I'm going to say...
mostly.
Not exactly, but close enough for...
Okay. We'll show you our scores in a few minutes. I just wanted to do that first.
Grenades and horseshoes, right? Grenades and horseshoes.
Yeah.
Once you're close enough.
I may actually have to move intent up and flavor down so that we do intent first, then flavor. I think flavor is the most important thing, and it should be last. Minor change, but doesn't really mean anything. So... my flavor score, wow, there's a lot going on here, okay? I'm definitely getting the Meadowsweet Mead type flavor, the fermented Meadowfoam honey, or Meadowfoam, not Meadowsweet. With the malty, dark beer is really, really nice. The extra chocolate, I think it's almost a bit too much chocolate. I'm being picky, but you know what? That's what we do. If somebody was to make
one
this
of the concerns I had based on the too much chocolate is that I know that dark chocolate is a bittering flavor.
Yeah, but then we sweeten with Meadowfoam.
Or not malts, but hops is a bittering agent.
Yeah.
And so I had concerns that this was going to be too bitter.
I think I nailed the hops.
And because we are both really... We're not keen on the whole heavy hopped scenario and the bittering, I think... this is a thing of beauty as far of creating a dark chocolate feel without having a discordant bitter note.
Right. I actually think even though we used a dark chocolate, it still comes across as almost a milk chocolate.
And I attribute that
to the vanilla
and the honey and the marshmallow.
Yep.
Creating that creamy...
yeah, it really does have that creamy feel to it. It really amazing. Kind of feels like a milk stout almost.
So, again, comparing intent and flavor, if you want to make the chocolatist chocolate beer, then put all this other stuff in there and it'll be super chocolate and you'll be really happy.
This is like a s'more with one marshmallow, half of like 2 little tiny pieces of graham cracker.
And chocolate on the top and the bottom.
4 pieces of chocolate. That's what this is like.
And then dipped into more chocolate.
That's the easiest way to describe it. I think that, I'm not saying I'd hate that. I'm just saying as s'mores go.
I would eat that.
Kind of missing the point. So I gave it a score. Are you done scoring? I don't want to look at your card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to take a couple minutes and do the numbers thing. I'm going to use the calculator teacher said I would never have to calculate our scorecards. All right, scores are tallied. It's been judged. And are you ready?
Yeah.
You have a number?
2.
You do?
I do.
What's so funny?
Why is it a decimal?
Because that's how we do things now. We've been doing it this way for a while.
I'm
the way we
distracted.
score is we have 4 levels that we use. We don't use the repeatability, and we add those together and divide by 3. That's why there's a decimal, because that's how
Because
numbers
math?
work.
Ew.
Anyway, are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 9.3. That's right. I'm going to show you our scorecards now. We actually ended up with the same score,
but we came
at
about
it from different ways.
Yeah.
Appearance and aroma. I mean, obviously,
Five.
It's a knockout. Just absolutely amazing. For flavor, I went with a 9. She went with the 10.
I went with the 10. I'm in love with this.
Because I thought it was a little too chocolatey.
There's no such thing.
I'm sorry. I have to be picky. It's a thing. And then intent, I went with a 9.
I went with an 8.
Because I thought we were close.
Because it's not s'mores, but I don't even care. Because it's a thing of beauty.
It's extra double stuffed s'mores.
And I love it.
Yeah, I mean, skip dinner, drink a mug like this size of this, and you probably have all your calories for the day. Okay, it's real.
I'm going to need more steps after
It's
this.
so strong. Like, this is a strong beer to begin with. With the honey in there, makes it the braggot. But then all the flavors. It's an aggressively strong flavor as well as a strong beer. Which, yeah, I mean, you would not think this was 9%. This does not feel like 9%.
Well, when you drink a bunch of these and then you try to stand up.
Yeah, somebody's going to have a problem a little bit because she's got a lot of this. I'm already feeling it just from this little bit. That's amazing. But anyway, what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn the gas off on this guy.
And we'll put it back in the mini
And
fridge.
it's going to go back in the mini fridge. Then we just purge it, turn it up to serving pressure again to serve. That way the canister can last a lot longer. And
So you need to purge it each time between?
I think it's probably a good idea because it might build up excess pressure just from sitting.
Oh, okay.
Because some of the gas might be coming out. But it should be sitting.
It's already at 10.
Yeah, see, the pressure goes up. As it moves, some of the gases are coming out. Okay. So this way, it's going to stay under pressure. It should be fine. I think if it sits too long, it'll probably lose some of that pressure anyway. Everything's a song. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Feel bad for Brian.
Yeah. Well, I do it too. I do movies. She does songs.
I do songs.
So I don't actually like sing it. I just kind of say it.
Yeah. And I sing it badly.
Anyway, so I'm going to put my note right back on here.
So did Derica select the right mugs for this tasting? Hells to the yeah!
Considering neither of us actually filled our mug. I don't know about that, but it was great. I think it worked out really, really well. I still have foam in mine. So do you. That's amazing. So head retention is pretty good too, guys. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. We do have another braggot that we've made. We can put a link to that video up here. And if you have any specific requests for things you'd like to see us try to make, put them in the comments below. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching and have a great day.
Bye-bye.